I was told, because John Anik knows everybody's name, Piotr Jan. Yep.
You know,
Piotr Jan.
No, I'm not going to do it. What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Chael. He's Daniel. I'm home. And Daniel, I believe you are in Thailand?
Yeah, I'm across the world, man. Yeah, I'm doing some stuff out here. It's a fun thing. I'll let you guys know what it is very, very soon.
And it's fight week, baby. So I'm assuming either way, you're going to make your way to Vegas in the next few days.
I'm actually leaving this morning. Like tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., I fly back to Vegas. So yeah, it's a lot of travel, but you know, it is what it is. You know, the grind. You know, I say, hey, Chael, he's the king of the grind. He loves the grind. I gotta tell you one thing, bro. You can sometimes follow a quote so much that it becomes hard, Chael. Where you go, you know what, man, I don't want this no more. I'd rather just chill and not have to fly 60 hours in a week, but it is what it is.
You're talking about living the gimmick. And you want to know, who else is living the gimmick? Merab. Merab opened his mouth, DC, and Merab told Dana White repeatedly, and he told the media, I want to fight more, and I want to fight more often, and I'll fight on the next show. And finally, Dana said, okay, let's see if this guy really means it. And here we are, 4 weigh-ins, fight number 4 times we're going through training camp of beating that scale, main event in his new adopted city of Las Vegas. What do you think about Merab?
Chael, you know what's crazy? When you have to cut weight all those times, you and I talked about it, right? Like, it gets a little bit challenging, to say the least, right? To not only make that weight in the way that Merab makes the weight, right? The old school way. Yeah. The way that dudes did it in the past, where you starve yourself to get on the scale. You also got to get up for the toughest, baddest, meanest, most hungry, desperate guy there is in the world. When a guy is the #1 contender, they get an opportunity. They are desperate. They want nothing more than to win that belt. They'll do anything to win that belt. Now he's got a desperate guy who already knows what it is to be the man. It's Piotr Jan. He's been there before. He knows what feeling like the man is. Because do you remember what the world thought of Piotr before he got beat by Aljamain Sterling, especially the second time? Now you got a guy who's desperate, that's been a champion, that's already felt you, knowing how much better he needs to be to try and challenge you. So this is a big fight anyhow, but for it to be happening now in Merab's 4th fight of the year, it's crazy because of the person he's fighting against. I believe this is the most challenging fight that he has had for all those reasons we said before. Piotr's been a champ. He knows he knows it's the last chance to have an opportunity to get that belt. He's fought him before. He knows what it's going to take. It's a big one for Piotr Jan.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. You're the first person that I've heard say that. People have been dismissing Piotr Jan. I'm looking around going, do you know who it is you're dismissing? There was something about this event that felt like it was a rush to judgment. There was a rumor of Amanda and Kayla were going to fight, and that came down. And people got a perception that Dana was expedient with the card and brought the wrong guy in. He brought in the former world champion. By the way, this is a rematch. You don't have to ask anybody further than Merab. How tough is this challenge? Merab will be the first to tell you this is the one name I did not think was going to come out of the hat.
You know, Merab also is very respectful of Piotr Jan because he knows what he had to do to beat him the first time. He shot 49 times. Think about this. The amount of respect that he has for his striking made him take an average of 7 shots, almost 10 shots per round. Hey, the only reason you take that many shots per round is you're not completing those takedowns, right? So while people say, well, Merab's going to beat him again, and there is a great chance that happens because we have seen Merab be nothing short of amazing time and time again. But he averaged 10 shots a round because he was having trouble taking Piotr down. And he knew that he needed to be close to him. Piotr Jan felt that now. So you got to expect that a guy that on many occasions, when we spoke about him, we would say, Piotr Jan is almost like a computer, right? He seems to be gathering data the entire fight. So in round 1, he might be close. And then 2, he starts to pull away. Then 3, 4, and 5, you're kind of watching him just sprint. And one of those fights would look like was Jose Aldo when he fought him for the interim title. He's so good. This is a real challenge for a guy that it didn't look like Merab was going to get challenged by many people. And he's also a guy in Merab who's doing this for the 4th time. I don't buy that it's a huge negative because Merab is who he is, but I do got to put something on that. You're doing it 4 times in a calendar year.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And one thing, if you're in Peter Jan's, how are we saying Peter Jan, by the way? It's like Putor. It's like Peter Jan, right? It's not quite Peter. How are you saying it?
I was told because John Anik knows everybody's name. Yeah. Piotr Jan. Yep. Piotr Jan.
No, I'm not going to do it. I thought I was going to do it, but I'm not going to. I'm going with Peter. But here's the one thing about Peter, okay? He knows how many times he was taken down. He knows what he has to do to stop Merab. When this card felt like there was an expedience, wasn't for Jan. Jan didn't have any problem with it. Jan didn't think I need more time to prepare. Jan didn't think I need to work on my wrestling. And Daniel, the reason why, he's already done it. He's known that this match was coming. He didn't care that it was for a world championship or it was just for personal redemption. He wanted in there with the guy that fired 49 shots on him and got 5 of them. He wants to know that his double leg defense is better. He wants to know that his strength, his ability to circle, his ability to stay off the cage is better improved. The fact that it's a main event and the fact that it happens to be for a world title were not actually prerequisites to Peter Yan wanting this contest. He, at least in his own mind, has fixed these gaps. And for me, when a world champion tells me they've fixed something, I tend to believe them. It's almost up to everyone else to prove that they're wrong. Peter Yan has never misled us to this point in his career. Now, in fairness, he's assuming that he's fixed these things. We're going to have to find out live on TV. But what if he has, partner? That one thing. If he's fixed that one thing, this is a completely different contest.
So Merab shot 49 times last time. He completed 5 of those takedowns. He only got 5 of 49. So if you're Jan's corner, it's not necessarily about the takedown defense because you showed that you can defend takedowns. It's about how do you stop him from just firing them at him so that in those moments where he isn't getting takedowns, you can get damage off to where it looks like you're winning and not just defending. Now, it was at the Hard Rock Cafe last time, and I remember calling it, and I remember walking away going, I've never seen anyone like Merab. It was when you couldn't help but take notice, right? It just felt like, man, I've seen this kid compete a lot of times. I saw him beat Marlon Moraes after Moraes almost knocked him out early, and the way he just beat him up down the stretch I thought was super impressive. But in that fight, you stood up and you went, well, this guy's going to be a world champion. I've never seen anything like it. But with that being said, he only got 5 of those takedowns, like you said, Chael. Is that the expectation again? It doesn't have to be that way from Merab Dvalishvili. And how much does Piotr Jan take from knowing I got tired last time? I know what it feels like. How much of an advantage is it for Piotr to know that he's felt that fatigue? He's got to push through the wall to make sure that when he gets back to that door, Chael, he's got to bust through it and know I've got to be able to fight 5, 10 more minutes at a pace that I generally don't have to have so late in the fights.
Yeah, and my final thought, by the way, as we're shining up the chances of Peter Yan, but he's been main evented before, and he's fought for world championships before. He's fought for world championships in main events before. He has never been this sizable of an underdog. There is no pressure for the first time ever. There's nothing on Jan. I remember previous fight weeks when he was headlining. I remember his previous fight weeks when he was fighting for world titles. Everything was on him. He had 3 other guys calling him out. He had number 1 contenders sitting there in the audience trying to make their case for Dana White to choose them next. It's not like that now. I mean, Peter Yan is put over here. They're already looking about what's next going to be for Merab. What's Merab going to do in the first quarter, the second quarter of 2026? These press conferences, these questions are already coming into Dana White. Hey, has Nurmagomedov done enough to get back in there with Merab? It's like, you better slow down. Merab had 5 takedowns. He needs 3 of those 5 if he's going to win this contest. That means that Peter Yan only has to stop 3 of those 5, at least in theory, to win this contest.
You know, it's crazy because Merab Dvalishvili is a guy who at 135 pounds wins. If he wins this fight, right, and he defends his belt 4 times in the calendar year, he's clearly the fighter of the year, and he might be the most dominant champion in the UFC. I mean, I get, but Islam Makhachev, obviously, what he did was so impressive, but Merab with all these title wins, man, would be as dominant as anyone we've ever seen in a really long time. It's a massive fight. And with all that we said, right, and all the reasons I told you that Petr Yan is so live in this fight, you ask most experts, and they still go, yeah, they said this, and this, and this, and this. Even though Merab only got 5 takedowns, he still won the fight 49-46. It wasn't that close a fight. So they're going to think that Merab's going to get the job done again. And I think that's a tip of the cap to who he is and how special he has been as he's been the champion in the UFC. He looks so good this year, man. It's been amazing to watch. And he gets the opportunity to headline the final card of the year this weekend in Las Vegas. But that's not the only title fight, At 125, Pantoja is such a savage, but I believe he's one of the most underrated guys that we get, and we get that generally at 125. One of the greatest fighters of all time is Demetrious Johnson. Hands down, no question. On his title reign, Chael, most times he fought on free TV for the belt because a lot of people don't have as much of an interest in the small guy. Pantoja's dealing with a little bit of that himself. But this weekend, he's got a guy in Joshua Van who is going to force him into a fight like we have not seen for a really long time. Why is 125 so overlooked in the history of fighting? And how big of an opportunity, how big of a chance do you think Josh Van has of taking on a guy in Pantoja who has looked increasingly more dominant as he's defended the championship?
And let me just tell you, it's a hypothesis, but I am an expert on the sport. I'm a fan. I see everything. I'm a little bit of a historian on combat. That would include boxing. And Daniel, I don't believe that it's the size. I mean, there's always been a favoritism towards the larger guy, the heavyweight championship. And it didn't matter if that was Hulk Hogan, Muhammad Ali, or Iron Mike Tyson. Like, the heavyweight champion was really featured. But Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor came along and showed that size doesn't necessarily matter. So when you talk about 125 being overlooked, it's not because they don't have the skills. They just haven't necessarily had that personality. That's my belief. That personality that has come forward and captured people. Another problem at 125 is there are so many competitors walking the earth that are at that weight class that it's a little bit more difficult of a division than some of those higher weights. And when you have a difficult division, you play musical chairs with your title a little bit more often, which can make it hard to build stars. Now, you talk about Josh Van. There is something in sport, and there is something in this sport to be said for momentum. Now, who's got it? Does Van or Pantoja have it? I would stand back and listen to very good arguments on each, but this Josh Van in 2025, I mean, this is his year. He is absolutely red hot. With a win over here, I don't think he all of a sudden goes into an argument to be the fighter of the year, but he would be the come up fighter of the year. I mean, it would be where he started versus where he finished. Josh Van, if he's to win a championship, that gap would be larger than any other fighter has done. And one thing about Van, I don't believe, while being respectful, I don't believe he's scared of Pantoja. I think he should be. I think he should be scared of Pantoja as his senior, as somebody that's been here longer, as somebody that's done more, as somebody that is the champion in this very fight. But he's not. There's just something about Josh's personality where he enjoys a good, hard competition. You and I know guys like that. Those guys are very intimidating within their own right.
Yeah, they are. And chill, for Josh Van, he's so young and he's so new to this that he doesn't know that he's supposed to respect Pantoja in the way that he doesn't respect Pantoja. I remember whenever we sat with him when he first started fighting in the UFC, he had come off the Contender Series, and I was talking to him. I said, but what about now that you're in the UFC, you're going to get all these guys, they're going to keep trying to take you down. You know, you got great boxing and striking. He goes, I'm only going to get better. He goes, I've only been wrestling for 6 months. He's like, I barely started. I was like, well, you're in the UFC now. Is that going to hold up? He goes, I'll be fine. And sure enough, it's held up. He's so athletic and gifted that his takedown defense, it's almost, even if he may not recognize the wrestling and the skills as much as you might hope at such an elite level, his athleticism and the way that he moves inside the octagon doesn't allow people to get started there in terms of their takedowns against him. And Pantoja is one of those guys that, for as good as he is in the striking, he needs takedown. When he beat Kai Asakura, it was a submission. Last title defense, it's a submission. So generally, he wants you on the ground to get the finish. He's going to have to prove that he can do that against Josh Van, who's shown time and time again that he has been able to defend some of the best in that fight against Brandon Royval. When we end the year, that is going to be the one of the fight of the year contenders, because those dudes went at it at a rate that was crazy, man. It was crazy to watch those guys go. But it's new to Van, right? It's new to Van. He's going to be fighting in a bigger spot than he's ever been in. I get it. Being young, not knowing, that can be a benefit, a plus for Joshua Van. But it's also lack of experience. He's never seen anything like this. He's never fought anyone like Pantoja. How does he deal with that?
Yeah, and the big thing with Pantoja that I think has impressed pundits like you and I, it's not how good he is. We expect our world champions to be really good. It's how much better he is. Daniel, this is a guy that was on The Ultimate Fighter, but excuse me, this is not a guy that won The Ultimate Fighter. As a matter of fact, the guy that won that season of The Ultimate Fighter isn't even in these conversations. As a matter of fact, the guy that beat Pantoja on The Ultimate Fighter never got a contract with the UFC. Like, Pantoja came back from all of these guys. He came from adversity. He was driving a car, and he was taking passengers around. He was getting people to and from the airport, to and from work. And I'm just sharing what, and then he would go in the evenings, and he was making just enough money, put car in his gas and a little something in his belly so he could go in and train. And now he's the champion of the world. And now he's collecting pay-per-view points. And now he's being discussed by you and I here on ESPN. What a difference a day has made. But I can tell when I look at him, like, his face looks different. His mentality is different. His body looks bigger and stronger. Like, this is a guy that really has improved. He was pretty good to start with. It's his improvements that I think are what impresses us the most.
Absolutely. He keeps getting better and better and better every single time he walks out into the octagon. They're doing a great job with him at American Top Team because he, like you said, he was good. Now he's just unbelievable. But on the Van side, Chael, think back to your first title shot, your first title opportunity. How much changed, right? You and I both, when I fought for the belt first, I mean, I might have been 36 years old, right? I was older. I'd been in the game. How much did you change going into that first fight? And how much do you think Van can change? Or, Chael, do they even recognize how much they need to change? I was at AKA. We had been on the receiving end of title fight losses. When I fought for the belt, we had gotten the title fight win. You had been at uh, uh,
Team Quest.
Team Quest, where you guys had won titles, lost titles. So the coaches knew what they needed to do, the change they need to make. Van has a good corner, but I can't remember if those guys have been through that level before. How much will he need to change going into this fight?
Yeah, and it's so interesting. It's so interesting because of the pressures and the added spotlight and what that does to a guy. But he doesn't have to deal with that, in my mind, being in a co-main event. I just feel like it's so much alleviated. He's fighting for a world championship, but he's not the first name on the marquee. In fact, he's not even the second name. He's not even the third name. And I'm talking about Josh Van, right? I'm saying you got this main event and the challengers and the current champion. It's just a really unique position where the pressure and the weight of the world that so many other guys have to feel, I don't think that he's dealing with it. Now, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. But as far as that pressure goes, I think he's going to be able to go out and be himself. And that's one thing about Josh Van. Like, you can hit him really hard, and you can even win an entire round. He will come out completely reset for the next round. You're going to have to deal with him again and again and again. Kamaru Usman, Henry Cejudo, Daniel Cormier. Only the most elite guys are able to reset during a match. They're actually able to put the past behind them and focus on the right now. It's a very, very tricky thing to do. And I think that Josh does it really well. Now, he's also never had this kind of a spotlight. Am I wrong? Is he going to buckle? Is he going to rise to the occasion? It's an experiment, and we don't actually know.
You don't. It's a big moment for Joshua Van, fighting one of the greatest flyweights of all time. Honestly, I think we're almost to a point, and I know this is kind of crazy to say because of how dominant Demetrious was, but chill. Pantoja keeps putting him together like he's doing right now in terms of title defenses. Realistically, we're getting pretty close to a time where we might not start going, well, DJ and Pantoja, not just Demetrious is the greatest of all time. It's unquestioned. There is no... Pantoja keeps winning, Chael. We're getting close to a time where we have to start having Demetrious Johnson, Pantoja conversations. Am I wrong?
No. Oh, no. We're getting right there.
Yeah, we're getting close, man. Big spot for Pantoja. And he gets it done this weekend, man. He's going to start putting himself in a very, very unique position to be compared to one of the greatest fighters of all time in a weight class where we never thought that would happen. But that's a big fight. But Chael and I will have more on UFC 323 this Thursday before the pay-per-view. But Chael, last weekend, Real American Freestyle came back. It was an event. Chael, I believed that was the best Real American Freestyle that we've seen so far. Two things stood out to me. Yo, these MMA dudes, man. If these dudes aren't ready to wrestle, don't go out there, man. Somebody, who was talking to me about wrestling? It was another fighter, and he was like, I'm gonna win. I was like, don't go fight these guys or wrestle these guys unless you know what they're doing. And then he asked me, he goes, how'd Darian do? I go, he got pinned in 20 seconds by a high school kid. I go, and Joaquin Buckley got beat 12-0. I said, everybody, Clay Guida got teched 12-0. The only one that got the job done was Michael Chandler. If you're not ready to wrestle these guys, Chael, don't do it.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, they don't know. You don't know what until you don't know. You think, hey, I've been wrestling every day. I've been practicing my jiu-jitsu and, my MMA coach, and we have about 15 minutes of wrestling warm-up a day. It's a different game. I found this out the hard way, and I was only a wrestler at the time. I went and worked out with Les Gutches. He was the world champion. I didn't know there was such a different level. I had no idea until we got into the parterre that a person could even score that many points on another person. And I tell you that because I know what the MMA guys are thinking, and they're thinking this is fun. It's a step in the right direction. It's going to force me to work on that takedown defense. But when there's no wall and there's no fence, it's a very different takedown. When you're bent over, as opposed to that upright posture, it's a very different takedown. When a guy's got on a knee pad or a shoe, as opposed to no fabric at all and you can slip, it's a very different takedown. And I hear everything you're saying. I'm glad that you liked the event, man. I thought it was just unbelievable. Bringing in Taz, world and Olympic champion, represented Bahrain, came by way of Dagestan, one of Khabib's friends. Bringing in Spencer Lee, who ends up getting upset. Kennedy Blades, Olympic finals. These things were really awesome. And by the way, Chandler and Mendez went out there and, for what it was, represented themselves very well.
Yeah, but those guys are high-level wrestlers, man. They can scrap. You're right. And you think bending over, it doesn't make do you think it makes the takedown harder? Nope. Not against somebody that knows how to move you out of that bent over position. It was crazy watching these dudes. You falling all over yourself. You tripping. You like, come on, man. I'm not your dudes just get dumped on their head. And then Darian Caldwell gets pinned by Bo Bassett. And then Bo Bassett calls out everybody. I'm like, man, Bo Bassett is the man. And Darian's an NCAA champ. He got pinned in 20 seconds by that kid.
You must have been pretty proud, though, Jordan Oliver. You personally. That had to be a good moment for you as a Cowboy.
J.O. said, Izzy, give me my belt. I like that. Hey, give me my belt. That was crazy. He got that double leg, and he just kind of got him through the zone, got that point. Let's go, J.O. But Joe, before I let you go, Michael Chandler. You know what I like about the Chan man? He doesn't take stuff to heart. He understands this business, right? When we talk about him, and at times, we're going to have to be critical. Fighters are sensitive. Michael Chandler doesn't play that game. This is going to have to be, and I'm giving you this because it's going to be another one of those times where Michael Chandler's going to have to play that game of not getting his feelings hurt. Since Chandler got to the UFC, it's been great big moments when he wins. Just doesn't happen often, right? It has not happened for him very often. He goes last weekend, he gets a win. Michael Chandler is either the most competitive human being on the planet, or he just doesn't like winning. Michael Chandler's like, you know what, man, this feeling to me, which something I haven't experienced much down the stretch, I don't like it. I don't want to win. I don't like getting my hand raised. I'd rather go back to the back on the loss and speak about how my community carries me. Because Chandler goes out there, gets a dub, and all of a sudden he decides to call on Jordan Burroughs. I mean, what are you doing? Why are you calling on Jordan Burroughs? Chill. You know what doesn't make sense to me? It's almost like he doesn't understand that Jordan doesn't know how to play the game. Did you see what Jordan did to Ben? Jordan beat the crap out of Ben, bro. Ben was like, I thought we were going to play a little bit. He goes, he just beats me up. I was like, hey, Michael, leave Jordan Burroughs alone, man. What are we doing, Chelsea? Does he just not like winning?
Daniel, I wondered the same thing. Like, did he think, I've been busier today, and I think Jordan's been retired. Yeah, for 3 months. He's been retired for 3 months. I don't think that counts. You got to give a guy at least 3 years before he loses a step. I guess the story is they used to wrestle in college. And when they would wrestle in college, and this is within the Big Eight, Nebraska and Missouri. So you're talking about dual meets and then probably pick up a side tournament here or there. And that's before you get to conference and nationals. And they both were on the stand. How many of those places they met up, I don't know, but it was multiple meetings. And I think Michael's got 21-year-old Jordan Burroughs in mind and 21-year-old Michael, and more respect to him. But if you're asking me to at all pretend that he's going to win that match, no, I'm not going to pretend that he can beat Jordan Burroughs.
Hey, Michael, all you got to do is look at Clay Guida, Joaquin Buckley, and Darian Caldwell to see what's going to happen when you wrestle. Jordan does not know. Ben told me. Ben said he double-legged me. He goes, he hit me in the rib. He said he took my breath away, and I sat on the ground thinking to myself, boy, did I make a mistake. He doesn't know how to play this game. He doesn't know maybe Ben gets a takedown. Maybe I don't just crush him. He went out there and he just beat the crap out of him. And that's exactly what's happened to Chandler. No, Mike. Please, remember, we're only doing our jobs here. But we're doing our jobs in a subject that we know. This is not 21-year-old Jordan Burroughs. 7-time world champion Jordan Burroughs. He's going to crush you if you wrestle him. No, wrestle somebody else and just get another victory, man. Forget this. Jill, Thursday, we'll be live from Las Vegas. You and I, good guy, bad guy. Yeah, one more big desk, big show before it's all said and done. But for the bad guy, Chael Sonnen, I'm Daniel Cormier. Until next time, peace.